Good morning, everyone. This is Laura with Stuff I Find Interesting. And this is going to be quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. I'm doing this before I go to work. Because for the rest of the day, I think I have to try to pretend I'm an adult. So I figure if I do this now, then it's done, and then I can work on the next one. Because it's almost time for Stuff I Find Interesting 2.0, which is where we have like an introduction and like just stuff, better stuff, new and improved stuff. Someone said that this like reminded them of the ladies on SNL with Shannon, the one who's Superstar. But there's the show and there's the two ladies and they do like a coffee talk thing. Not the one where they talk like coffee talk, but the other one where they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to try that. Yeah, what about that? Someone said that it reminded them of that. So, I don't know. Not the worst. Not the worst comparison, I suppose. So, I spend way too much time on the internet. I'm curious about everything and anything. People, things, archaeology, art. I love it all. I think the world is a fascinating place. It's one of the things that's kept me alive, thinking that the world is a fascinating place. And as such, what I like to do is collect all of these things like a demented knowledge squirrel and then pass them on to you so that you could maybe see something new, think about something new, maybe change the trajectory of your day just enough so that you're heading away from the sun. Right now I'm playing this game, Outer Wilds, and I keep going into the damn sun. It's very frustrating. So I want to start out by saying that I was wrong about something, and I was talking about just, doing the LiDAR in the Sahara Desert. And I'm like, well, they don't do it because it's so remote, it's hard to do, blah, blah, blah. And that's true, but there's more to it than that. The other aspect of it is that almost that entire area where there are people, it's extremely lit up with a lot of violence. So it's not really a place that it's easy to get to. Even if you do get to, you're kind of taking your life into your hands. And the other thing is that sand is harder to LiDAR through than ground. So I guess the crystals and makeup of the sand can kind of like throw things off. So this is ultimate gift to future generations. Plan to laser map all land on Earth. How cool is that? These are some recent LiDAR things that I found. No particular order, not pointing at anything specific, just kind of talking about LiDAR. In the Sahara Desert, which we were talking about last time, but I mean just we're finding so much stuff these days. It's crazy. All right, moving on. Oh, just a beautiful picture. This picture made me wish that I was kind of there, sitting on the cool stone with my back against that old rock. It's late afternoon. I'm sort of taking a breath. Very atmospheric, that photo. Where is this? What is this? What do you think? It's New York. This is New York before it was New York. But if we scroll over, New Amsterdam and Eiland, Manhattans. Oh, Island of Manhattan. And there we have it. So I showed you that picture the one time of the two Dutch people. I think it actually might have been a painting. There was a painting and there was a photo, but it was taken outside of these row houses right here that you see before they were knocked down. Maybe not these specifically, but it was this style of architecture. This is what it would have looked like if you were sailing around New York Harbor back in the day. This is what you would have seen. Loading PDF. What? I don't know what that's about. Oh, I guess it's probably from a lesson plan of some kind. I do love lesson plans sometimes. You can get some good stuff. Incredible photos of New York City when it was covered in farmland. The Brennan Farmhouse at 84th and Broadway. The Bowery. This is the attack against Fort Washington. This is an old grid that shows the different farms. This is on Manhattan's, what is now up Manhattan's Upper West Side. This is the junction of Broadway and 8th Avenues in 1861. So a lot changed in a very short amount of time. Do you know what I read yesterday? Ruby Bridges, the African-American girl who was the first person to go to a segregated school as a result of the court case, is 66. She's only 66 years old. I don't know. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. Sheep grazed on Central Park's Sheep Meadow until 1934, and then they were moved to Brooklyn Prospect Park, and then they were moved again to a farm in the Catskill Mountains, probably the Catskill Game Farm. More sheep, Central Park, 5th Avenue, 117th Street. This is when they started demolishing the hills so they could make it level, which meant they had to take out a lot of those houses. More excavations. This is 8th Avenue looking north from 106th Street. What I'm saying probably doesn't mean anything to you unless you're from that area, but if you're from that area, you'll be like, oh, wow, word? Really? 81st Street, 9th Avenue, Riverside Drive. There's the big highway that runs through there now. There's a big slab of mud or bedrock or something. This is a painting of showing all of the action taking place. The time will come when New York will be built up, when all the grading and the filling will be done, and when the picturesquely varied rocky formations of the island will have been converted into formations for rows of monotonous straight streets and piles of erect buildings. Frederick Law Olmsted, a New York City landscape architect, wrote at the time. You know, I find that really freaking rich and ironic. That guy designed so many freaking asylums and jails, like I can't even tell you. Like, all of the buildings he created were like monuments to, I don't know, hubris, weird, archaic, I don't know. I don't like the guy. I have some of his architecture in here, too, somewhere. He designed a couple of the buildings at the Hudson River Psychiatric Center, which has been knocked down, but was one of the asylums that he designed. And I think he designed a building at Vassar College, but I could be wrong about that. This is Manhattanville, looking north, 123rd Street, so that's just below where the train stops. And I think that we might be coming to an end. That's Harlem. Fulton Street. 2nd Avenue, looking up from 42nd, not too far from Grand Central. And we're back to freaking Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't even know he was in this. He rented a room in one of the Manhattan farmhouses, and that's where he wrote The Raven, presumably. I mean, they don't know for sure. It'll be in the links. You can look at it. Asylum. So speaking of asylums and Frederick freaking Olmsted, asylums were designed to calm the mind of the crazy, presumably. But it's interesting that they spent so much money on these buildings and yet ultimately so little on patient care. These are some of the asylums. Some of these are probably close to me. Lots of asylums near me. Big old asylum. This is Chris Payne. He takes pictures of things, but like on a grand scale. He's not like just some person running around into abandoned buildings. Not that that's not important or cool, but he visited like 72 institutions to do this particular photo spread. So it's a little bit more serious than just, kind of going out there. So it's definitely worth a look. Worth a look. See, that actually might be Hyde Park. That might be near me. That looks like the Hudson River over there. Wow, look at that. That is the Canton, Ohio Insane Asylum for Native Americans, also known as the Hiawatha Asylum. And it was horrible for the indigenous men and women that lived there. This is beautiful. I would love to have a room there, chill out. That must be the inside of it. Lots of pictures, way more than I can show here. An incredible body of photographic work that's very, I don't know, it kind of takes you to another world when you look at it. These are mystery lakes of the Badain-Jiran Desert in Axla, China. So this is northern China, which we've talked about before with Turpin and some of the other places. They don't really know where these come from, the mystery lakes. They're not really sure. They have very high salinity. They think they might come from springs, and the high salinity is a result of percolating through sand, but they're not exactly sure. They think that it originates from groundwater stored beneath the sands. They contend that this groundwater concentrates in some areas to form springs, which feeds a layer of fresh water into deeper lakes. Despite this presence of groundwater, however, most of the lakes have a high level of salinity. Roughly 50% of the lakes in Badain-Jiran Desert are salt lakes. So this is considered the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Prefecture. Say that 5 times fast. Here's some more lakes. And then depending on the makeup of the bacteria or the whatever's in the lake will sometimes create these crazy colors. These colors are these pictures are no doubt enhanced, but they're still impressive. So just crazy looking. Oh, look, it's a yurt. Camel. I read the other day that some guy was harassing his camel, and his camel bit the dude's head off. I swear to you, how horrible is that? He was really mean to the camel, so I'm having a hard time feeling bad about it, but still, that's hardcore. This is what the China's northern desert looks like if you were in outer space looking down. And satellites, this is what you would see. Well, the areas that aren't obscured. The local authorities are hoping to expand desert tourism, so they have constructed a slightly bizarre geopark along one of the roads that leads into the dunes. Information about it is hard to come by online, although the various buildings include a hotel and a museum with interpretive displays about the desert's geology. The desert is exploited much more harshly just to the northwest, where an oil field appears to be polluting a large area. Continuing west, the Comtag, Taklamakan, and Lop deserts all merge together in an arc in China's most northwesterly region, which was part of the Silk Road. So we're back to where we started. One of the biggest developments in the Comtag is the Gansu Wind Farm, a series of power generation facilities consisting of hundreds of wind turbines. I mean, that seems sensible. It goes on. It's pretty interesting to think about, but I'm going to have to find information on that geopark. Mostly because it says information is hard to come by, so that means I have to go come by it. 31 ancient forgotten cities for your perusal. Heliki, I never knew about that. Skara Brae, I knew about that. Krishna's sacred city of Dvaraka, never heard of that. Caral is the most ancient city in the Americas. I think it's in Peru. It is in Peru. Timgrad, Roman colony. Great Zimbabwe in Africa. Hattusha, it was a Hittite kingdom. Taxila, surrender to Alexander the Great. Sigiriya sits on a giant outcrop. I think there's caves. I think people live in caves there as well. Gordium, King Midas's capital. Leptis Magna, Mohenjo-Daro, Vinland. Heraclion, that's underwater. Neapolis, also underwater. Her, her. Herculaneum, Pompey's lesser known cousin. Palenque, Cliff Palace. Havalsi, as in Greenland. Tiwanaku, Bolivia. Akrotiri, also another Legend of Atlantis thingy. Sukhothai. It's Angkor, Champa. Okay, that's like. What else we got? Chan Chan in pre-Columbia. Urgensk, sacked by Genghis Khan. That looks like Samarkand. I think it is. I'll have to look that up too. Calakmul, Palmyra. A lot of it's gone right now. Calakmul. Oh no, that's Tikal. Catalayok. Cahokia, Mississippi's Mound City. I think there was a pretty significant city there at one time. Tarancuyu, that's the underground place, the lost city of La Ciudad Perdida. They actually just found this. And that's it. So, ultimate lost cities for you to look at, even though I just said it all. Sakha Republic. This is Yakutia in Russia. It's the coldest place on the planet. It has a population of 250,000 people, if you can believe it. And there was a time when mammoths and humans hung out together in this particular environment. So it's pristine. The cuisine is very local and I don't know what you call it, like food to table, I guess. Like all the fish is caught and brought to you, and all the herbs are from the forest, and that's really popular right now. These are some other pictures. It has a lot of islands. Some of those islands are pretty interesting. Some military activity taking place up there. Sakha Yakutia is one of the most blessed river and lake regions of Russia. There are 700,000 big and small rivers and over 800,000 lakes. That's so beautiful. Most of Yakutia is in the middle taiga zone of middle taiga, which only to the north is replaced by pure tundra and forest tundra. About 4/5 of the territory is covered in forests, and river valleys are decorated with lush meadows. So, very beautiful place. We got polar bear, fox, reindeer, whitehair, Arctic fox, sable, ermine, Siberian weasel, muskrat, American mink, and many others. Seems like a pretty lush area, well adapted to itself, It has a very long winter, a short summer. It goes as cold as negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the mountains, it can sometimes go to negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the summer, it can go as high as 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 30 degrees Celsius for everyone else in the world but America. It has 3 time zones. There's a lot of local peoples. You got the Aurora Borealis. There's lots of mountains. Talk some more about the mountains. Lena's Pillars, that's a geological phenomenon where you can kayak down this lake and look at these beautiful kind of pillar thingies. This is the Kasiliak Mountains, which translates into stone people. It's considered a sacred area. This is what it looks like in the winter time. The Sinsky Pillars, almost like the Lena Pillars. Not exactly sure how those are formed. I would imagine the rim of a crater of some kind and the inside blew out or got worn away because it was softer, by water, and then that's what's left. I'm totally guessing. I'm not really sure. So there you have it. This is Yakutia. Some beautiful pictures of Yakutia. Lots of protected area in Yakutia. Now there's lots of kind of myths from this area. We've got dinosaurs in the lake. We've got rocks that look like glass. We've got UFOs. We've got a place called Death Valley, where there was at one point seen some kind of metal sled in which lay extraordinarily thin, one-eyed people in iron clothing. In 1936, geologists who visited here saw a smooth metallic hemisphere protruding from the ground, the metal of which resembled copper. 7 decades, the hunters noticed a three-sided object protruding from the ground. A witness who worked with geologists for 3 seasons says that the diameter of the cauldrons is 6 to 9 meters, and the metal is so strong it cannot be cut by a hacksaw. And when they spent the night next to one of the guys lost all his hair. You can only get there by helicopter. Sounds like you probably don't want to go there. There is a whirlwind that forms over the lake, and it's believed to be some sort of spirit, and it happens for no reason. There is a lake that has giant white fish and is warm at the bottom, and you can't catch the fish. It's enchanted. There's a place where everything collapses no matter what you build there. There's another place where there's a giant snowman that attacks people. There's a shaman tree, which is actually real. Not that there's a tree that can speak or bless you or whatever, but in Yakusha there are these trees that are considered sacred, and you hang things on them. And so it's kind of like a wish. So you could leave coins, slices of bread. Some people leave cigarettes. You could pour vodka. Some people say, don't do that. You'll get the spirits drunk. There is Devil's Gate, which there's skull people running around the woods. And then lastly, we have Lake Labkinir. That there's some sort of devil Nessie thing flying around in the lake that pulls people under. Looks like some fishermen tried to catch it with a deer on a rope, and it didn't really work. The last known sighting of it was in 1993, it looks like. There's been lots of expeditions. Oh, look, it keeps going. For a while, actually, the Devil's Yurt. All right, well, you'll have to read it. But clearly it's a place where a lot of weird stuff happens. Where the moose have no blood. This is an interesting read. I don't even know how to explain it, but it talks about what it's like there. So it's very atmospheric when you read it. He talks about the local foods, which consist of reindeer meat, rose petal jams, small fish eaten raw with the heads. A lot of stuff is not available, though, because of its remote location. They're saying the native Yakutians seem to fare worse than the Russians that have come in. That the 340 mental patients in a psychiatric hospital I visited were native Siberians, whereas most of the doctors and nurses were Russian. And there talks about reviving the culture, but how do you revive the culture in these modern times, and museums and honoring the past. It's a good read. This guy is trying to, the Eric Hoot Foundation is trying to lure artists to Yakusha due to its remote location and pristine, like it's like a blank canvas, like you could do just about anything with it, right? So that's what this is about. This is a project that you can read, the Sinet Spark. What happens when I click that? I don't know. It's a non-profit project and educational organization from the coldest inhabited region in the world, Yakusha. It will become a digital project university. The strategy is search, generation, and distribution of innovative ideas, knowledge, and technologies. I feel like that just went right through my brain. I have no idea what they're talking about. Interesting, the Yakushans have similar DNA to the Native Americans in America. Something to think about. My dear Yakusha, this is someone who used to live there and moved away, and talks about just the magic that is Yakusha. He goes there and visits a lot, takes pictures. Some incredible, incredible shots. And he's able to get some of these incredible shots because he knows the people. He's able to get closer to them. Then, like, if I went there, they'd be like, well, who's this chick? Also, I'd freeze to death. I wouldn't want to go out there. In Yakusha, they have a cow beauty contest, and this is the cow that won last year. Bringing you the hard-hitted news. No, I don't want to sign up. Paintings from the best artists in the world. This is something for you to look at. Just some eye candy, if you're into that kind of thing. And I wanted to show you something cool. So you can go to Google Arts and Culture, and you can pick a color. Let's go with blue. And it's giving me all of the artworks that have that palette. I could go to brown, and then I can click on them. I can enlarge them, and I can scroll through. Really neat stuff, because you can listen to music and just kind of zone out and look at stuff. This guy's clearly a meme. Look at him. He's like, all right. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. The last thing we are going to do is look at a musician from Yakusha. And this is, if you haven't seen this, it's really quite amazing. I'm going to play the beginning, and I'm going to kind of skip through so you can hear the highlights, but I'll let you listen to the whole thing from start to finish. Here we go. Wild. That is freaking amazing, right? Even if you don't like it, you're like, well, what's that? She's playing a Jew harp, which I don't know if you've ever tried to play a Jew harp, but it's really hard to do that. She's singing and playing and vocalizing at the same time. Just amazing stuff. There's other videos too where she kind of dances around. So she's from Yakusha, and she is doing some Yakushan stuff, and she's wearing a traditional costume. So absolutely fascinating, right? Love that. All right, so my friends, we have come to the end. It is time for me to get ready and think about becoming an adult for the day. Wah, 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 wah. But it's not so bad. I have a good day. A good day today. We got some good stuff going on. I hope you do too, and I'll see you next time.